I'm rebuilding a military school today, and I'm going to make this as realistic as I possibly can, which is going to be tough since I'm doing it until we win a championship. Navy might be having a pretty good year in real life, but I've purposely started this on the old rosters where they're just a 75 overall, and military schools have a very hard time in recruiting. Since they normally only sign about 3 3-star prospects a year, we're limited to that too. So every other recruit we bring in will have to be a 1 or a 2-star, and military schools also aren't allowed to use the transfer portal or red shirts, so we can't either. Just taking a look at this starting roster with our best player being a fullback, I have no idea how we're ever going to get this done. And I've additionally decided that I can't use this recruiter tree either. Even on Heisman, I can only play in 3 regular season games a year, so we need to be able to win in Sim 2, and that means signing some great 1 and 2-star prospects. Now, I said I could go after up to 3 3-stars a year since that's what they normally get on average, so I found a couple gems. And I think Braden Eifler with his 90 speed would be great for us at quarterback. We have to use an option playbook too. I don't know if I mentioned that. And then Eric Emery at running back. The third 3-star I went after is Dwayne Matlock. He's actually an athlete that'll probably play defensive line for us. And the following week, 93 speed Eric Emery committed. We're about to land Braden Eifler as well, so we're probably going to land most of the players that we go after. And I just realized that he's from Tampa, Florida, which is where I live right now. I should point out though, even if military schools can't use the transfer portal to bring players in, there are still players that can leave through the transfer portal. So picking up where Navy's left off in real life as I'm filming this, we have to go on the road at East Carolina. There's not much to do in season 1 besides get a feel for the option offense. And I think this realistic rebuild's going to be a lot of fun, especially with all the restrictions I have. I might have already changed my opinion on that though, because I have to get good at running the triple option. I've barely done it on this game. That gets us back within 14 points, but there's not that much time. And the longer this game has gone on for, the more I've realized that we have to start throwing the ball. We've done our best against East Carolina, but now it is 4th and 10. We might actually be able to route them up. But that missed throw did not help us, and the score only got worse. There's a chance that we're going to be even worse off whenever I play the key games. And to end our season, we're playing against Army. This is the biggest game we have on our schedule. In real life, Navy already beat their other rivals, Air Force, which is a pretty big deal. Because whenever it comes to developing my coach build in this dynasty, I want to unlock the architect tree, all because of tier 2. Limitless is super overpowered for lower rated recruits. As you can see, until we win 4 rivalry games, we can't go down this pathway. And why that's so important is every time a player levels up, there's a chance that one of their skill caps will disappear, which limits how good they can actually be. 1 and 2-star prospects have a very low ceiling, which is why we need to be able to raise it. And this game is already the most important one on Navy's schedule, but that just adds to it even more. With around 2.5 minutes left, we find ourselves up by 5 points, but they're driving down the field. They're threading the needle. And Army is taking a 2-point lead. They're throwing the ball once again, but their quarterback's run back so far. There is no way that they get this 2-point conversion. That means we can simply take them down just by getting a field goal, but getting in field goal range could be an issue. We're going to get a huge run right here at least. And recruiting fullbacks is going to be important throughout this video because we're going to use those guys too. I need him to be quicker. We now have the load option here. Horvath's pretty quick, but if we pitch it backwards, I was hoping to go somewhere. And that's going to be the main issue throughout this entire rebuild. Whenever we get stuck in situations like that, they even have a quarterback spy, but the quarterback spy isn't able to stop one of the faster quarterbacks, except he fumbled it. We can still get the ball back with 3 straight stops. But I was thinking I didn't even need to slide since he runs the ball most of the game. At least it's now 3rd and 11. They're going to continue to keep it on the ground and we're getting it back. The main issue though is we're going to have to pass it. And believe it or not, the passing options out of this playbook are not the best, so I'm just waiting on the halfback angle route. We might just need to throw a ball up to see if we can get a lucky aggressive catch and hope for the best. I think that's what we have to do. And I'm pretty sure one of these receivers is pretty quick. We're going to take the shot right here. Kent gets a flag, but he doesn't catch it. It is against Army though. Of course he is celebrating. That is such a DB thing to do. And we still need to get to about the 40-yard line. If this throw was out of bounds, we might have had a chance. We all know the struggles that we're going to have going forward using a military school, but that is a dot. And a 53-yard field goal helps us take down Army right here. I think this should be good. It has to go far enough though, and it does. I would have never imagined we'd beat Army this first season, but we have. And I can't stress enough how important this is since we're losing a lot of seniors. We have a long way to go before we're a championship contender, but 8-4 for the first season isn't bad. And I did get a lot of help since that's what they've done in real life. Obviously, our passing stats are never going to be impressive, but a fullback led the team in rushing. We better give former 1-star recruit Alex Texa some attention. He's an 87 overall. He might improve even more this offseason as a junior. And Nathan Kent was the wide receiver with 96 speed that we'll have for 1 more year. Now, a key part on whether or not we're able to actually win it all with Navy is going to involve our coordinators, so we're going to get a fresh start. And I don't think we need any help in recruiting since we can mainly go after like 2 stars. We did lose a couple of battles, but that's on me. Player dev traits for the 3 3-stars we can sign every season are going to be very important. We have star on the quarterback, star on the 93 speed running back, and then normal on the athlete. I'll also be seeing throughout this video if we can ever find elite dev on a 1 or 2 star player. That'd be insane. And we've made it to a bowl game against California, but they're currently ranked as a top 25 team. Whether or not Navy wins this game, I'm not really sure it matters, but you would think in a game where it's raining, we would have a lot more success than we have right here. I am quickly learning that this is going to be much tougher than any of the other rebuilds I've done, because that roster might not even be a real top 25 roster, but they just dominated. When it comes to our new coordinators, I want to find people that still run the option as their scheme, but they can also motivate players while being a tactician as well to boost their stats. And I think I ended up doing a good job of that, but we'll see how it plays out. My guess is it's going to take us at least 10 seasons to get to a championship contender spot in a realistic manner. And the first move I'm going to make is going down this motivator tab and getting us to tier 3 for all of our defensive positions. This is going to help with their development, which I want to really focus on our defense at first, because we have a few key defenders that are graduating, and I know we're not going to score many points, so we need to be able to develop them. Now, I could try and convince 2 of these transfers to come back, but I'm actually just going to go ahead and let them leave Navy. And that's because they're not young, plus you can't really keep players at a school if they don't want to be there. We're getting players that are proud to represent this country, even if some of them end up being 1-stars. But here's the thing, Army, our rivals, had a super unrealistic recruiting class, signing 13 3-stars, and we're all the way down here at 106, but at least it's not as bad as Charlotte. If our player development's not good, we're not even going to be able to compete in the American Conference. And it's time for the moment of truth. Braden Eifler, our new quarterback, is just a 66 overall. Then we have another 3-star recruit we went after, Eric Emery, the running back with 93 speed, but that's not even his best position, and I think I still need to move him to elusive back. Finally, we have 61 overall athlete, Dwayne Matlock. I told y'all, he's going to go up to a pretty high overall on our defensive line. And even with training results bringing some of these seniors up to some higher overalls, I can just tell this rebuild is going to be brutal. The faster we can unlock the architect tree, the better. But we need to win 2 more rivalry games, and we also need to spend 25 points in this tree, so I'm going to max out our offensive line. That's a big part of our offense, and I should also make sure our running backs and fullbacks are maxed out too. As for our coordinators, like I said, they're going to be both tacticians and motivators. We need them to continue to level up. And I'm doing my best to lay the foundation, but I can't even redshirt quarterback Braden Eifler, so we're only going to have him for 3 seasons after this. I can't make him the starter, but he could max out his accuracy pretty much. Since we can only sign 3 3-stars a year, that was a good pick for one of those needs. It seems like team need-wise, we have 29 of them. And I feel like our school grades could actually be much worse than they are, so I'm pretty happy to see all this. Now, I should point out, without having any points in the recruiter skill tree, it takes me forever to scout any players, so throughout this entire rebuild, I probably won't scout many. But I was on a mission to find either a fast receiver or a gym fullback. I ended up finding 2 gym fullbacks, but we kinda have to choose between them. Then I advanced a week though and found out that we could technically sign both, since the other gym I discovered at linebacker already locked us out. So with our incredible 600 hours a week, we're able to go after 12 prospects at once. Now I have a feeling that's probably gonna go down next season unless we win a lot of these games in sim. And just looking at our schedule, I've already decided I'm hopping into the Air Force and Army ones no matter what, and I'll probably play against another ranked opponent. I don't think anybody's gonna be surprised we lost to Illinois by 3. But what's more important is our American Conference games, and it starts against USF at home. I feel like with this roster, we have a decent chance at winning the conference. Blake Horvath's a senior. Basically, all of our top players are seniors as well. And I'm much more worried about what happens after they all graduate. I'm doing my best to build the roster, but as you can see, 2 stars are being stolen from us from South Carolina, from Maryland. So on the bright side, going into our game against Air Force, we've gotten 2 3-point wins, and we're currently sitting at 2-1. This is a rivalry we need to win. They're currently 0-3. We get to host it. And it is well worth being one of the 3 regular season games that we hop into throughout this year. Now, I said I wanted to make our defense our focus for a reason. Right now, we have a 7-point lead. We're about to turn the corner on Air Force. But all these guys helping us have offensive success are seniors. We're not going to have the edge over Air Force for that much longer throughout this rebuild. We can't even play defense. And that great start that we had just got washed away. You would think going up 14-0, we would have been in a great spot. But it's this option offense that I'm still not great at. We've pitched it backwards like 3 times in this game, and it's going to be a 3rd and long. I have a plan with Blake Horvath, though. I am going to throw it up to our 96 speed receiver. It is underthrown, and Kent still holds on. He has also gone after this season, but that was a huge play. And running the triple option right here, I meant to pitch it. Now we pitched it back to Horvath. I don't know how I got out of that. And I think Air Force is going to hold us to a field goal because we have nowhere to go. 53-yarders are definitely not a gimme. I've missed it. I've missed it terribly. Now I feel like I've just choked this game away. All Air Force has to do is get get the same thing. They're not running it either. They're doing it all through the air, and we could have had it. Now it almost feels like they're about to just settle for a field goal from here. And this was a rivalry win that we simply had to get over them. This is only going to set us back in the rebuild. Of course they drill it. And we'll see if Eric Emery, the freshman, can do something spectacular right here. He almost got out. Now we have one option. Throw it up to Kent. He's the receiver with speed. He made the aggressive catch before, but they know exactly where we want to go. There's nothing that can be done now. We lost against our rivals. And I don't think I chose good 3-stars for us to target this year. We're literally just going to add 3 more running backs to this roster. I probably should have gotten at least 1 defender. And even though we lost on the road at Charlotte in our next game, all I know how to do is continue to sim through some of these opponents. I thought that'd be more effective than me hopping into them, but as you can see, we're currently 2-6. And the losses keep on adding up, so we're currently on a 5-game losing streak. If we don't break that right here, we're not even going to be bowl eligible. And East Carolina had our number last season, but maybe everything's about to change. Nothing changed at all. We're about to go down 27-0 unless we stop the run. And we even had the rain on our side. The Sailors should just leave this game. It ended up being 37-10. I can't believe we lost like that, but we still have a lot of time to improve the roster. And even if we are making signings, I think all the struggles that we're going to go through this rebuild, trying to make it realistic, is going to show how impressive it is that Army's undefeated as I'm filming this. I know they're probably going to lose to Notre Dame over the weekend, but to be fair, this team did as well. And this is not the first time that Hawaii's been an issue for us. I'm almost positive that from here on out, things are just going to continue to get worse. And they definitely did. We're currently on an 8-game losing streak, but we're about to play Army. Between the 2 military schools, we've won a combined 3 games this season. And this is a chance for us to get a little bit closer to unlocking that architect tree. If we really want to make that happen, though, we cannot let them get into the end zone right here. And on 3rd and goal, they should just settle for a field goal by handing it off. That's what they've done, and we're all over it. For whatever reason, though, they are not kicking the field goal. They're going for it on 4th down. I don't know if they just didn't trust their kicker or what, but they're not going to pick it up. That is absolutely massive for us. Even if we have a super long way to go down the field, I'm sure we can scramble for quite a bit of it. I'll take 15 yards. And keep in mind, we always have Kent over there that we can probably throw the ball up to, though we're stuck. Minute left on the clock now. I'm waiting for him to get open, and it is no longer looking as good for us. Man-to-man coverage, we're going to go for the aggressive catch, and it doesn't work. I'm hoping that we can look at overtime in this game, especially if they can't throw the ball versus us too well, but they get a bit. And this is not the position I want to be in at the moment. We've given up the seam for a first. Here's the thing, though. We know that they weren't comfortable kicking a field goal, so I am fully expecting them to miss this, and he seems solid. We now have one play, one final chance to win it all with Navy right here. They've kept up very well with our 96 speedster, and he is now going to leave us along with all of the other seniors. It is pretty safe to say that this season was completely disappointing, but Braden Eifler should be starting next year. It'll give our offense a new chance to have somebody to shine, and I can't believe Alec Texa took such a step back. Last year he had more touchdowns and 500 more yards. As for our leading receiver, not that we're going to use Marcus Newton that much, but at least he's a junior. And I've probably made a mistake getting 2 gym fullbacks. We just need one of them to have something like elite dev, impact on the first, impact on the second, and this athlete's also impact. Everybody else has pretty much just been normal dev. There's South Carolina stealing another 2-star, but you can tell I got players that actually want to be a part of this team because only 2 others are considering transferring. It's all about the culture that we're building, even if we're not on Oregon's level. And we might be losing like 40 Sailors at the end of this year, but there is one of them going on to the NFL. I don't know if they're even allowed to do this in real life, but I'm sure there has to be some sort of special exception. And things would be so much easier if we could just use the transfer portal to get some of these kids in. That's not how it's realistically done, though. I'm also avoiding JUCO prospects because I don't think military schools can go after them. And we ended up bringing in a full class of 35 prospects. 32 of them are 2-stars, of course. No 1-stars this year, and Rice's class was even below it. Since it takes so long to even scout a few of these guys, I have no idea how good they actually are. But I think 2-star agile athletes are going to be the sweet spot. This kid might come in as a 47, but if we move him over to left or right end, he's a 62. I've also discovered a way we could get faster fullbacks going forward is recruiting scrambler quarterbacks and then putting them there. We have way too many at that position, but at least one of these freshmen has to pan out. Now, one thing I've been afraid of is our roster continuing to regress, but I'd say this is pretty comparable to what we had last year. It's just there's a bunch of seniors at the top. Even though Braxton Woodson's technically the best quarterback that we have, we're going to start the sophomore 90 speed Braden Eifler. And I've been having to cut like 8 to 10 players every offseason, so that's when I know I'm over recruiting. Since we have 32 sophomores and 35 freshmen, the plan for this season is going to be more quality over quantity, especially guys that we can find with any speed. And I think the 3 3-stars that we end up going going after are going to have to be on the defensive side of the ball. The only two gyms I could find over there, though, were both corners, so we're going after them, and when I went to add a third, I found this receiver, 91 speed, he's a gym, but we got locked out. That leaves me with Bo Runyon. I don't know if he's actually going to start for us in the future, but he's our third 3-star. I also found the first 2-star gym yet, and he has similar stats to Bo. I think the skill caps are where we're going to see the separation and the difference, but I want to actually test it out. I'm also only going after some other receivers and running backs, because besides that, our foundation is solid at least for now, and we're going to see how this goes in sim. A non-conference loss on the road to a top 25 team does not bug me at all. What's more important is we beat our rivals like the military schools this year, so we might as well just get to that Air Force game where we are using a new QB. Braden Eifler did get a little bit better this offseason. His accuracies have gone up a bit, but he still has so much more to fill. And I'm not going to sit here and act like he's been the best for us. Less than 100 total yards versus Tulsa and a 6-point loss. But against Air Force, I'm going to have an opportunity to change all that. I knew that the longer this dynasty went on, the harder it was going to be to take down the Falcons, though. They're currently 3-0. And the hardest part about playing teams like them is we just haven't been able to keep up offensively. This throw works out to Eric Emery, though. And so much for running the option. We've probably passed a lot more in this game, and that's how we've even scored 17. No matter what, though, if we're going to win a championship, it will be out of this playbook. I needed to see what button the other receiver was. I didn't want to throw it to triangle there. We had our drag open. And that really hurts our chance at coming back, but if they pick up this 3rd and 6, we're going to have almost no chance at all. They're going for a deep shot right here, and Stanford is all over that for the interception. Okay, this definitely helps us. But we are still trailing them by 14 points, so we have a lot of work to do in a very short time frame. That one took about 15 seconds. We're going to throw this up. There's a flag on the play, but it's against Navy. It didn't even let me click on and make the aggressive catch. I'm ready for the next match. It's not like we were favored to win this one, but I wish it was closer. And since I know that our roster is pretty bad, I have no issue simming most of the season. We haven't been able to win a single game, though. We're currently sitting at 0-7. I have got to get us one against like USF. And our first step to improvement all lies in this architect tree, but again, we need to win 2 more rivalry games. We are able to go after one more 3-star, though, because as you can see, we got one of the corners, but another one chose Buffalo. And it didn't take me too long to find 3-star linebacker Dylan Cookus. He's from Florida, like a lot of the other 2-stars that we brought in. After losing to UAB by 24 points, it is time for us to try and get our first win of the season against USF. Overall wise, it's not looking good, but Army has also struggled in conference play. So even if we don't win this, I'm hoping that we can beat them this year. I really wish I could say this was a competitive game, but we got almost nothing done offensively. And the biggest issue we've run into is not necessarily the passing game, but rushing wise, we're just not averaging very many yards per carry. Our offensive line's got to get better, and I am going to try to switch things up by going to Air Force's option playbook. I've put some more 2-star linemen on our board as well, and it took me a while, but I found somebody that was a 2-star gym besides the QB. We already signed him, but these 2-star gyms seem to be super rare, and I'm curious what his dev trait ends up being. Outside of that, not much to get excited about. A couple players want to leave, and we've put up 3 points in the last 3 games as we go into this one versus Army. I've been saving up our coach points, but we need some rivalry wins. And luckily for us, this Army-Navy game's being played in the snow this year. This should be a classic. But before we finish the rest of this rebuild, I want to thank Prime Video for sponsoring today's video. I grew up playing football video games with my dad, especially Madden, and I have a ton of memories on there starting from like 6 years old. I've never been great at the games, but imagine how bad I was at 6 when my dad just sat there smiling as he throttled me 70-0. Because of how many times he beat me in Madden as a kid, I will never forget the first time that I actually took him down. And I'm sure like myself, a lot of you also have memories from growing up on the game, so I know this docu-series is just going to bring out even more memories.
Welcome to John Madden Football.
It's in the game! I guarantee you, baby, it's in the game.
This was a piece of culture. It wasn't just a video game.
But we were starting in complete chaos.
Most of us said, yeah.
We just didn't think that would amount to anything.
We needed some firepower.
Great defense!
Players look at Madden as a reflection of who they are.
It's going to get bigger and bigger.
It's in the game.
I get so much nostalgia every single time I hear it's in the game, and football was never the same. It's in the game. Madden NFL is now streaming on Prime Video, so I'll be watching it shortly. And now it's time to get back to the rest of this rebuild. This is pure football at its best. We haven't done much offensively, but I think I'm getting better with the option, as on 3rd and 2, Radden is going to cut the corner and get us inside the 10. We still need to mix in some passes every so often, though, and they read it. They read it like a book. I couldn't even tell that he was covering it there. That is why we should have kept it on the ground. Just by this, you know that Army's probably going to win. But we have been driving down the field, and on third down, we have an open receiver that drops it. We'd hit a field goal after that, but clearly touchdowns are far more important in this game. Accuracy has been an issue for Eifler so far. And I think it's because his accuracy stats are so low that we pretty much get a red meter on every throw, so we just need to keep running it. Marshawn Frazier, our fullback's been pretty solid for us. And there you have it. It is all tied up at 10. Whether or not we get a stop on this 3rd and 8, though, is such a big deal. You knew they were going to run. And it's a field position game, but after punting it back to us, I don't think we're going to be able to move the chains. This entire matchup has just gone back and forth like this. We get the sack. And we all know what we need from this point. Just one good drive into field goal range. Pulling it off is the very difficult part, though. They are all over the option. And there was even holding against us on that play. It makes it so difficult to run the ball. We almost need to throw it or just step up and scramble. And snow would cause the same issues in real life, but I'm having a very hard time seeing the field, seeing where Army players are even at. Now, they have gotten us to a 4th and 1, but I believe we should go for it. I don't want to trust our defense, and our fullback Frazier helps us get a lot. We're just going to keep on pounding it with him up the middle. We're about to get to midfield. And here on 3rd and 3, we got the rocket toss. We have a couple players out there trying to stop Radden, but he has a first. Now it's time we get sophomore Eric Emery that same look. Remember, he is 93 speed. We recruited him and we're close to field goal range. This is one of the plays I've discovered that seems to go pretty well for us, especially if we can get speed on these running backs. We just gotta get out of bounds now. This entire game has been a lot, but this is exactly what we needed. And I have to say, this option playbook is pretty fun, especially with the quarterback powers. What matters though is if Christian McCown can hit this field goal, I think we should hit it. That is going to bend just in. And the wind almost took it for a second, but we have now beat Army for the 2nd time. I can't be too happy about it though, because we did go 1-11. And this just feels impossible. Rushing wise, our stats continue to go down every year. It's like the sim wants us to pass the ball more. I'm not sure what's happening. And we haven't won the battle for Dylan Cookus yet, but we can see player dev traits. Bo is going to be impact as a QB. That's not great. We have star on Terrence Cramer. And then the 2-star quarterback also is impact, while pretty much everybody else on here is just going to be normal. I won't be firing our coordinators for the rest of this video though, because they've maxed out both motivator and tactician for both of them. And that's exactly what we need. We have 150 coach points, but I am waiting on this architect tree. If I wanted to max out every single one of these, it would cost 256 coach points. So I don't see that happening, but I will point out UAB from the American Conference, our conference, made a run all the way to the championship. That's just going to increase our conference prestige. We are losing a few people to graduation we're going to miss, but this kid in the transfer portal, I don't even want you to come back. You're a 63. I will say though, the longer we continue to struggle, the more our school grades are just going to keep on dropping. And of course, Iowa ended up taking the 2-star gym lineman from us. This class is simply not turning out the way I wanted it to. And I can't believe how many times we're just going to fail to sign a 2-star player. You would think this class wouldn't be ranked like our last ones, but it is pretty similar. Both FAU and Temple are below us. And only being able to go after 3 stars a season just to keep it realistic has been brutal. I think we're finally starting to see some good progression with our coordinators though. A lot of the players at the top of our roster this season are juniors, not seniors. And Braden Eifler is now an 81 overall. His accuracy still has so much room to grow, but he has another year to do so. We're still going over our roster size every year though. Also, the fullback that started for us last year has now been encouraged to transfer. I shouldn't have recruited 3 in 1 year. And even though we only have 8 seniors on this roster, I feel like I need to sign a massive recruiting class because most of our best players are juniors and we need to give some of these 1 and 2 stars time to develop. The thing is too, I know I've been going after a lot of quarterbacks with one of our 3-star spots, but look at Orleans Eason. He has 93 throw power, 91 speed, magician as an ability, and those accuracies would be good off the start too. So we're pursuing him, we're pursuing this 95 speed running back, and then another corner. Outside of that, I've found a few athlete elusive backs. You'll see how this is all going to pay off in a couple of seasons. But I will hint at the fact that Philip McBriar started out as that same type of build, and now he is the best defender and the best player on this team. That's the roster building side of things, but with this higher overall, you have to assume that we're going to win more games on this schedule. We need to win one more rival one. So I'm advancing to the game against Air Force because I just want to unlock Architect. Going into that one, we're coming off of a 40-15 win over Temple, but we have dropped the other 2 games on our schedule by close margins. And let's just say that we better not lose to 1 and 2 Air Force at home. What it really comes down to is our defense, because with a little bit of time left, we have a 4-point lead. We're all over that right there, but we can't get to the tight end. I thought he caught this for sure, but apparently we were able to knock it out. And I'm sorry, but there's no chance wearing a hoodie under your jersey could be comfortable in this heat, especially since he's missing a sleeve. That's one of the wilder accessory combos I have seen. On 4th and 9 though, I'm a user him and that was done. If Air Force ends up winning this game, I am going to be so upset, but we could get a sack. And now it's 3rd and 10. We are all over the 4 verticals right here. I didn't stick with him too well. They're going down. Can RD give it to him well for one play right here? I think we can. And since they only had 2 timeouts to use, there is very little they can do, especially now. We have sealed the win over the Falcons. And this is huge. I've been waiting season after season for this. I'm about to spend all the coach points we've saved up. I'll go ahead, purchase the tree. And at least for every position besides kicker, we're going to go down to tier 2 at the minimum, just so there's a chance to increase a random skill cap every time someone on this team levels up. We can take it to another level, tier 3, for some of the positions that we only get 2 stars at though, just so every time we're on a 3-game win streak, there's a chance of them to level up even higher. And with all of our coach trees now looking like this, I almost want to wait before we spend the last 41. I'd imagine it's going to take longer than I'd like for us to level up throughout the rest of this, since we already hit level 30 and we're losing battles. So I might deploy those points into other things, but USF has already played 7 games. Now looking at our next 5 matchups, all of them are on the road, so I'm pretty much just going to sim through it, see what games we should hop into if it's even needed. And the reason I'm not too worried about winning yet is we're just getting started with player development. Knowing how bad some of the seasons have gone, I don't want to get too invested in a team until we're actually good, but at least we have signed all of these 3-star gyms we went after. And on our schedule, you're going to be a little surprised to find out that we're currently sitting at 5 and 4. I didn't think this would happen this season, but if we get one more win, we're bowl eligible. And I think we can make that happen at home against FAU. We aren't just winning this game though, we're completely dominating, and it's mainly because we have figured out how to run the option. We'd go on to score another touchdown, and when you pair that with a defense that's only given up 3 points all game, you're going to have a lot of success, but I am locked in because I don't want to give up a touchdown to FAU in this. We have played so well throughout this entire matchup, it'd be a shame if they scored. And that doesn't feel great, but at the same time, we're finally bowl eligible again. There's plenty of running backs getting touches though, so even if Eric Emery's our main guy averaging the most yards per carry, you have to split it around to multiple dudes. And I would like to note that at least in our conference, our defense has given up by far the least amount of points per game. It's gotten a lot better as the year's gone on, but we still have to sim this one against Memphis. And the reason for that is I want to hop into my final game against Army, of course. We might have dropped this one 21-18, and that means unfortunately we're probably not making the conference championship, but I'm sure we can get there. This entire team pretty much consists of juniors. Now this one's not going to be in the snow like last year, which I'm disappointed in, but it is very similar to last year's game just because of how little each team is scoring, and now it's going to be 4th and 1. This is a tough spot to be in, but we're going to keep it, and we have enough speed with Eifler to just get that edge. And I want to get Eric Emery on the rocket toss at some point, see if we can hold up some good blocks because he's our fastest player. A couple bad option plays though, and now it is 3rd and 12 for us. We just get this throw out in time. Eric Emery turns the corner and he's in the end zone. If you're an Army or a Navy fan, or you served for either branch, I'm sure this is the most important game of the season. That is why it is crucial that we get a defensive stop. But they're slowly continuing to work it down the field versus us, and we've held them. We'll see if their kicker can hit from the logo. It looks like he can. And I think we're gonna have to pass on this drive, though we might have a touchdown right here. I've kind of been recruiting offensive linemen based on run blocking, not pass protection, which is a problem, but only when we get in these situations. 4th and 10 right here. We have beat them deep over on that left side of the field, but they're catching up to deflect it. Now I was a little bit intelligent. I saved all 3 of our timeouts. So this game is not over yet, though we can't let them get a first down here. Again, it's a really big deal that we take down Army. And at the moment, a 2-9 team is about to beat us. If anybody can help us come back from this point though, it is definitely Eifler. I'm gonna throw up a jump ball over to Cantrell. He makes the aggressive catch. And that's what we need right there. We need to repeat that process. Man-to-man coverage, go for it again. He comes down with it, and he's also gonna turn the corner to get in. He can dance on them. We have just come up very clutch at the end. But the extra point does matter, so we'll make sure we take care of business there too. The odds of them getting into field goal range with this little time left were always so low. And even if they did eventually convert on that first down, their final play of the game's nowhere near the end zone. We have now taken down both of our rivals this season, and the next rival that I'm going to want to beat is Notre Dame. It looks like North Texas ended up winning the conference championship, but apparently they didn't. They were ranked number 3, and now they've dropped down to number 7 with a loss to Tulsa. We've ended up drawing the Liberty Bowl versus TCU, which is the perfect bowl name for a military school. But I want to point out that the American Conference has put 2 teams into the college football playoffs. If they're doing stuff like that, we need some of these players to be good. I want to see an elite dev out of a 3-star gym, but the best we're going to get is star on a running back. I guess it's time to see whether or not we can take down the Horned Frogs. They average 20 more points per game than us. They're an 86 overall. But I'm just happy to be here. We're going to have a winning season no matter what. With about 30 seconds left on the clock, we're trailing by 13 points, so we need a miracle like we had against Army. And these jump balls to Cantrell's side of the field have surprisingly been super effective, though I'm not sure if he can continue to do this. He does go into the 2. If we can just run this into the end zone, we could still get the onside kick and come back here. We are going with the quarterback power, but it's short. This is not very good. Time is ticking down. Eventually, we gotta punch it in. And either way, Eifler's had an amazing year. Moment of truth against the Horned Frogs. Can we get lucky? No, they're gonna snag it right out of the air. But we were competitive against them, and that wouldn't have happened in previous years. This is a season to be proud about. A lot of these guys are returning for a senior year as well. I'm excited to see how some of them do. Also, receiving wise, I think this is the best receiving stat line we've seen. And sophomore Russ Cantrell was only a 2-star recruit, which is exactly why I need Architect unlocked so he can get past some of these skill caps as we move forward. I don't know if it's possible, but it's the only way I can imagine us building a good enough roster to win it all. And I really don't like how many cornerbacks we're about to lose. One of them's trying to enter the transfer portal. He was one of the only 3-stars we could have gone after, and now he's gone. That's a decent loss for us, but we ended up signing so many 2-stars, he's not going to be missed. I put 4 2-star corners on our board. And we signed 28 players in this class, which is not what I was looking for, but I felt like we had to do it. We're definitely going to have to encourage quite a few players to transfer. I know I over-recruited, but I don't care. We found a 72 overall quarterback in Orleans Eason. He's going to be with us for 4 years. And for these other 3 athletes, remember their name. At least one of them's got to be a good defensive player for us at some point if I can make them linebackers. Just through these first 4 seasons, we've had a couple of really good years and then a couple of really bad ones. So we'll see how season 5 pans out with this roster right here. It's an 82 overall, but we have some 90 pluses on it. The real problem though is going to be finding 18 players to encourage to transfer, because I don't want to have to get rid of a lot of the young guys, and then the older guys are going to be pretty talented. I guess if anybody's a senior and they're not going to start for us, they're off the team. And I've learned my lesson whenever it comes to recruiting fullbacks. We do not need more than 1 or 2 at a time. We had to get rid of a lot, and that's something I never want to have to deal with again. So this year, I know we have 19 seniors leaving, and we're going to recruit 20 players max. It's also the senior year for a lot of talented players that we have, like Braden Eifler. He never fully maxed out his accuracy, but he was in a better position than Orleans Eason's going to be for us, because at least his accuracy could go up more than just this. I think right end Philip McBriar could be the best player we produced throughout this entire video, though. He could be a first-round pick, and I might not be allowed to spend in the recruiter tab, but since our coordinators have maxed out everything else, they're starting to improve in those areas. Even though I can scout players a little bit quicker, though, it's not helped me build out this board this season. I've only found 2 3-star gyms that I want to target so far. They're both receivers, and the reason for that is even if we only use a couple at a time, we need to still have younger guys coming in, and we could always move 1 to running back. As for how we're starting the season, though, it's against Temple. They're an 80 overall, and this should be our best year yet, so it's very important which games I decide to hop into, and USF might be the first one. We went out and beat Temple by 17, so I'm pretty happy with that result. And whether or not we beat Texas State doesn't really matter to me, because all I want to do is win the American Conference. We didn't rush for like any yards, and we lost 26-0, so it really makes me question how solid we are. But we just have to hope that was a fluke, and since Tulane's 1-3, I think I have to sim this too. I might have overestimated how good this team was going to be, though. They beat us by 11, and then we barely took out Air Force on the road. Now I feel like I have to hop into our next 2 road games or we're going to fall off a cliff. And even doing this, there's no guarantees we're going to win on the road, especially since USF is currently 4-2. Every single time we play against USF, their defense just shuts us down. On this 3rd down, we're not going anywhere. And we've scored 0 points in the 4th quarter. We have to pick this up, but they get instant pressure. I'm starting to understand why we have struggled so much this year. On 3rd down, we left them open. And they've already gotten to the point where they're trying to run out the clock, but they're just going over to the flat, so they have nowhere to go. They could gash us for a pretty big gain right here, though. And now that it's 3rd and 10, we'll see if we can get them off of the field. That is going to be short. We have had so many games in this rebuild where there's almost no points scored, and it comes down to the final minute, but that cut from Bliss was so clean. I think he's too slow to get this rocket toss, though, so we're going to have to go to the weak side of the field and just let Emery go to work. We have 2 minutes to get down the field, so I'd like to be able to continue to run the ball. That pitch could have definitely been better, but we have another 15 yards. But by the time it is 3rd and 6, we're going to have to be able to do something else, and escape in the pocket we can't. I don't like a 4th and 7 with the game on the line where they're getting in pressure like this, but thankfully Eifler stood up, and he was just fast enough there to get out of it. Now we could take a slant, or we could also scramble with him again and also run out of bounds here. We got to get there. All it should take is a little bit of motioning to confuse this defense. Bliss is stuck, so I can't necessarily throw it to him. I will test that, though, and I regret that. No reason to force it there at all. We just gave USF the win, and I thought I could click on faster to make the aggressive catch, but we scored 0 points. I want to say that we'd be better off just simming this against UAB, but this team is supposed to be our year. So if we're not able to win now, I'm not sure if we're ever going to be able to win. We've been able to score points in this one, but not many. We're on a 4th and 8 right now. I probably shouldn't have even gone for it right here, but that's a good throw for a touchdown. We are now tied up with about 6 minutes left, and our defense is exactly where I want it to be. Our offense is far from it. They're not getting that 3rd down. I think running the option is just making everything so much harder for us. Emery comes away with the halfback screen. It's something a little bit different, but now it's 3rd and 9. Braden Eifler is going to have to make a play here, and he can't. We have played the battle of field positioning with so many different teams. We're going to get the interception right here, though, with Sahara, and Sahara might be able to return it for a pick 6. Come on, buddy. You got to be a little bit quicker than this. I can't say I'm surprised that he was that slow, but we're getting the run blown up. And that right there is the problem with just running the option. If your blocks don't hold, you're in trouble. We're probably going to have to settle for a field goal, but at this point in the game, I got to think that's enough to win. So we made them burn another timeout, and we just got to drill it. If we can hold on to this lead, that still gives us a chance at winning the American Conference. We'd only have 2 losses in conference play. But if we lose this game, all hope goes out the window, and I simply can't keep up with 86 right there. He got the first. I'm not sure whether or not they've done enough to get into field goal range, but they're out of it now. And here we go. 3rd and 20. We can't give up a gain to them. I'm all over that. They have nowhere to go. 4th and 29. Final play of the game, basically. It's a check down. It is over. And maybe our offense is still terrible, but at least our defense can hold it down. I just thought as a senior, Braden Eifler would be a bit better, but even when running the ball, he's not the best, and Eric Emery is not getting enough touches. I've also found a 3rd 3-star gym for us to target, a tight end. That could be super useful, but I am sad to say USF might steal Jaden Morton from us. He has 93 speed, but at least our championship contenders gotten us inside the top 100. From here on out, to make the conference championship, we can't lose, but we can lose against Notre Dame, so of course we're simming. On the other side of a 66-7 beating, though, now we have to decide which one of these we want to hop into. It would probably be against Rice if we somehow won all these, but I can't even confidently say this team beats 1-7 East Carolina on the road. Since USF did steal Jaden Morton from us, I found another 3-star gym. This athlete will probably play linebacker, and Terrell Lawrence is going to get plenty of opportunities because he might be the only player we can throw the ball to. Unfortunately, by the time we've gotten to this game at Rice, we're currently sitting at 4-6, so if we lose one more, we're not going to be bowl eligible. Everybody in our conference seems to be a higher overall, but nobody's necessarily been good this season. They're pretty much just all better than us. We ended up losing 42-10, so I'm not even sure what we could have done. And I guess the only positive thing we could take away from the season is if we beat Army. It's in the snow again, but it's impossible to be excited about it since option offense is clearly broken in sim. And I guess I just need to build a better offense through recruiting. They throw an interception with a minute remaining, but we have literally scored 3 points versus them, and I can't believe with Emery this offense was so bad. I think we just needed more depth at the running back position, and anything short of him was like a 70 overall or worse. But at least we're gonna win a game 3-0. This is just disgusting football at this point. I can't even say it's pure. And we took it back to the 1920s with this one. We are literally setting football back at Navy like 100 years. But maybe we'll look back and realize that this roster wasn't as good as I thought it was. I mean, as a senior, Braden Eifler somehow only got worse when it came to running the ball. Nobody's come close to 1,000 yards since that first year, and receiving keeps going down too. I don't see how we're ever going to win an American championship, let alone a national championship. Especially when we're starting to have other schools make it hard for us to even sign the few 3-stars we can go after. Don't even get me started on the big programs that also take 2 stars from us. And when it comes to the 3-star dev traits, Terrell Lawrence is only impact while we have star dev on our tight end. With the skill points that we do have saved up, I almost want to go down this tactician tree and just start to max stuff out. That's exactly what I'm going to do for all of our defenders. And we're only going to have 1 coach point left, but now all of them are about to get a much bigger boost. Between both of our coordinators and then myself, they're going to be as high of an overall as possible. And I probably should have done that before the season, since now Philip McBriar is a 96. At least he should be drafted pretty high. Kentucky made a run to the semifinals. And right now, Eric Emery's not even getting a shot at the NFL, but Philip McBriar is projected first-round pick. It's just we're losing so many seniors that started. I'm really not sure what to think about Braden Eifler. When I saw star dev on him, I was so excited, but he never maxed out his accuracy, and he even had stuff like Option King all the way up to gold. It feels like he's going to be one of the better quarterbacks that we ever have, though his stats never really added up to anything great. And I just want somebody that can rush for 1,000 yards again. Look at that, though. We did put 2 more players into the NFL. One of the big signings we made during off-season recruiting was we made sure Northwestern didn't steal this kid from us. But I'll admit, I ended up putting too many players on our board, so it's probably a good thing North Texas stole a player from us, and guess what? Ole Miss got another one. They have fallen so far. If they're signing a recruiting class class with 25 2-stars. And it is what it is. We'll see what our current class is ranked. It's at the bottom of the American for the first time. It's not good, but at least it's a realistic ranking compared to what military schools normally do in real life. Now, I did bring in about as many athletes as I possibly could, so I'm going to have a lot of fun moving them around, especially anybody that is agile. They're going to play on the defensive line, and I can't stress enough how bad some positions on this team are going to be unless some of these players that we made speed rusher linebackers improve a ton as we move them down to right and left end. After careful consideration, though, I decided to only test one for now instead of all three of them, and Soma is currently an 86 overall. Now, without the coordinator boost, he's an 81, but I'm pretty sure, yeah, he still has room to grow. And from a running back perspective, right now, Gideon is an 88 overall with 95 speed. That should be super useful, but our quarterback won't be as solid. I know that he's probably going to struggle a bit, so what I'm going to do is spend 20 coach points just maxing out this tactician tree. It even boosts his spin, juke, and ball carrier vision, but going so heavily down that pathway means I don't have many coach points left for architect and motivator whenever we unlock them. I shouldn't be a level 34 head coach by now, but sometimes the normal XP speed setting just blesses you, and it still hasn't made much of a difference. We have 8 players that we have to cut, so now we have to decide what guys aren't making it to next season. It's actually going to make it pretty easy whenever you have a bunch of senior linebackers that just aren't going to see the field. And in the process of all this, I noticed that Dylan Cookus is up to 98 speed as a middle linebacker, so maybe run stopper is the best tendency right there. He's literally the fastest player on this roster, and it's not even close. I'm pretty sure, yeah, he was a 3-star. Elite Dev. Did I not notice he had Elite Dev when we signed him? That just doesn't even feel right. I'm pretty sure I would have checked that unless the Architect ability can make stuff like the Dev traits go up. After looking back over the footage, I never even looked at it once. So he must have come in with Elite Development, and that was the best surprise that we could have had to start this season because we have a couple of ranked teams on our schedule. From a recruiting standpoint, we are in a pretty tough spot because we only have 13 seniors, so I can't go after too many players. But my hope is one of these 2 3-stars from Florida can end up being a super fast gym for us. USF ruined it last year, and neither is a gym. Speaking of USF, though, they are the first game that we played open up this season, and I'll probably hop into that, but I should point out the 3 gym players that we're going to be pursuing that are 3-stars. I wish Jose Terrell was a little bit faster, but this is the best I could find. At running back, Nate has 93 speed, and then of course at QB, we have another amazing option. He is an athlete, so if he fits somewhere better for us, we could move him around. It is time to get into the season opener, though. We got to start the season right. I don't think it's any surprise that our offense has struggled, though if this pass is on target, we're going to get our first touchdown. And I just wish that the option offense did a little bit better. We only seem to have a ton of success through the air. On this 4th and 3, we're going to be able to get it out. And as we continue to push this ball down the field, we're going back to passing, but there's no way that's picked. This is the unluckiest thing I've ever seen. I tried to get it out as quick as I possibly could, but at least our defense has handled it pretty well. It is now 3rd down, and we give it up. They're running down as much clock as they possibly can before snapping it. Now they're trying to beat us steep, but we have somebody back there and he dropped the ball. We need something to go our way. I mean, they got an interception that they probably shouldn't have. And here on 3rd and 5, coming out of the 2-minute warning, they're throwing it. I've left somebody open, but we're going to get the stop. That is exactly what we need. We just have to go down the field now and tie this thing up at 14 points, but we couldn't break that tackle. It is so sad that most of our success does come through the air. I have to escape the pressure right here, and Eason is able to do so for us, plus get more. I really wish running just the option was a viable option for us. We're going to try to thread it up the seam, and there's the inaccuracies that we're going to deal with whenever we have a quarterback like this. We should probably let him just run it instead. Orleans Eason is the face of the program for the next few years, so however well he does in this game is very crucial. But before we could even get the next snap off, somebody jumped. That sets us back by 5 yards. They're running man-to-man coverage out there, and we're going to have to click on and make this aggressive catch. Believe it or not, all the passing options out of this playbook, there are not that many. We can't even find anybody here. So it's 4th and 6. They acted like they were going to send a blitz, and they still got in. It is starting to look like the option playbook's just going to hold us back. With that in mind, I'm going to go over to the generic option playbook, and worst case scenario in a few seasons, we might have to test out the spread option playbook, which is a little bit different. I've just noticed that especially in Sim, the option playbook performance is not very good. But I think even switching to the generic option playbook just helped us a ton. It was not a pretty win, but we did win 18-17. It popped up that our championship contender increased. And statistically, it seems like Orleans Easton did throw the ball a little bit more. On the ground, we also averaged a lot of yards per carry with Connor Brown. I mean, Boston College won't be ranked after that, but after a double bye, we have a few games coming up that we should probably sim before we play Rice. And you never know what could happen there, but recruiting has been pretty boring. I'm trying to scout some other 2-stars just to see if there's anybody quick enough for us to go after that isn't that bad. But it still takes 50 hours to scout each receiver, and we haven't found anything too good. It turns out that UAB is having a good season like last season, though. They're currently ranked inside the top 25. So by the time that we've gotten to this game, you know we have to play them. The offense seems to be functioning a little bit better so far. We're going to step up and run on this 3rd and 5, which is going to lead to a touchdown. And this is what I've been waiting to see out of Navy for like 6 seasons. We're still in an option playbook, but we're actually having some more success. And after that touchdown, you know we're going for the 2-point conversion right here. We need to make this one guy miss, and we do. Ever since then, we've been able to maintain our lead, but UAB still has a chance with about a minute left until Isaacs gets the interception. We could even return it to make the score look worse, and Isaacs, streaking down the field, is gonna take it back. This is exactly what we needed. We needed something to change here at Navy, and it's working. The only difference between this option playbook and the one that Air Force and Navy both had is there's a few more shotgun formations. And apparently David Strong likes the sound of it because he is now committed. We also have the guy that's going to be right next to him, Nate Hollenbach, in the backfield. But the real question is, can all this success continue against Air Force? It turns out it can. We're going to win 14-7. Next up on the schedule, we have Charlotte on the road, but I'm going to sim that so we can play against Rice. Unfortunately, this early into the season, I can only hop into one more game myself. But that's the entire point of building a good enough roster to where you can also win in sim. Now, what I have decided for this recruiting class at least is we're going to keep it pretty small, no more than 11 players. And I think that's going to benefit us in the long run, so we're not encouraging players to transfer since we have 28 sophomores and 27 freshmen on this team. I feel pretty confident in saying we'd be American Conference champions if I could just redshirt players at military schools, though Charlotte did beat us. And Rice also lost, falling to 0-2 in conference play, so we're just going to sim for a little bit. Even if we did cook Rice, I don't think this is our season to win the American Conference just because of how many teams in it are ranked, how many road games we have. But this is how it was supposed to be. We're supposed to be having a down year. What I don't like though is the fact that we scored 0 against the Pirates and we lost a couple more. Even beating Temple, we're currently sitting at 5-6. And after all that simming, somehow we are playing this game again. By now, we're all used to this game being super low scoring where nobody can pull away. They've thrown a pick with a minute left. And that was quite possibly the worst thing that they could have ever done. They were in field goal range. Now we're having a chance to get a huge run, and this takes us all the way to the 30. We just have to continue to move the ball down the field. We might have had a touchdown right there, but I was scared to throw it. I'm not sure if Orleans Easton has an arm for that type of throw, though the corner route shouldn't get deflected. And you have to wonder when we're going to start throwing up jump balls or trying to scramble. It's a fumble, and they've picked it up. This is the worst way for us to end up not being bowl eligible, but maybe they don't think that they're in field goal range yet. We're going to get the interception against Army. They threw it like a rare time they actually threw the ball to us, and we are returning this back for a pick 6. This stadium is erupting right now. Everyone is going crazy. And I don't think I'd even choke a game that bad. That is worse than something I would do. They're trying to run it on the final play. It is all over. We have won America's game. We are now bowl eligible with Navy. And what's funny is we shouldn't be, since in real life that game doesn't happen until after conference championship week, but I'll definitely take it. Now, statistically, looking at what Orleans Easton has done for us compared to what we had in the previous seasons, he's about the same, and he's only a sophomore, so that's a good sign. But Connor Brown is our backup running back, and he got more touches than our starter, so it is clear that we need to have 2 very good running backs at once at all times. And then from a receiving perspective, our top 4 leaders are all going to be back next season. This feels like it's been a year of progress for us, but we're going to see the dev traits of every single player that we signed. We have a couple impacts already, but there is 1 star, and it is on David Strong. That's a good sign going forward, but we don't have a bowl game available to us. Maybe College Football 25 does factor in that Army-Navy would be played later. Tennessee won it all. And we might be 6 seasons deep now with not much progress, but I feel like we're starting to turn the corner. The losses that we're dealing with this season shouldn't hurt us too much. Trey Denbo might get drafted into the NFL, and I'm never going to go after a fullback gym again. I'm not sure why I thought it was going to be worth it, but he did not get up to a 90 overall. He could barely crack 78. Like I predicted, Trey Denbo gets to play at the next level. He was drafted in round 6. And ranking wise, they're saying this is our worst recruiting class ever, but I don't feel like it is. We couldn't have gone after too many players. It is hard to expect these guys to ever get us a championship though, whenever it is ranked that low. And you all already know the strategy for these elusive backs. They're probably going to go over to linebacker and then be moved over in the future to right or left end. I think that's what's going to lead to us having a super super good defensive line, but we'll have to see what happens during this training results. If I ever need to as well, I can move them back from right end to linebacker at a much higher overall. And I think it's safe to say we have figured things out on the defensive side of the ball. We seem to have multiple guys on our defensive line that are going to be in that high 80s, 90 overall range. But on the offensive side of things, we wouldn't be doing so good if we didn't have so many coordinator boosts. It is really nice though that for the first time I don't have to encourage anybody to transfer. Our roster size is actually 9 players under the limit. And I think I'm going to continue to cut that size down. Let's just get rid of this 2-star that was a Jim, but he never played for us. Right now, I feel like we're in a spot where we should have another smaller class with only 8 seniors, but the seasons after that, we go all in for like 35 player classes. What I'll do is I'll get the positions that we really need soon, like cornerback and wide receiver. I've actually found 3 3-star Jims this year at receiver that we can choose between. I'm gonna pick up 2 of them. And then our third 3-star, of course, is gonna be this cornerback because he is pretty solid too. Just taking a look at our schedule this season, I don't want to say I expect this roster to compete for an American Conference championship, but if we do, I wouldn't be shocked. And it is so nice that we get to open up the year against an FCS school. On the ground, both of our running backs went for 2 touchdowns each, and we won this one 30-0. So that's a good sign for future sims, and I've learned not to hop in whenever we play USF. Now, we might have lost out on a 2-star receiver to Florida Atlantic, but everything else is looking good. And that includes a 2-point win over USF. Right now, I feel much better about simulating our games instead of playing them, especially if Javier Mangold's going to be winning National Defensive Player of the Week. But that was against Air Force. We did lose to UAB 37-8. And right now, our more difficult games in American Conference play are at the bottom of the schedule. That's the only reason I want to continue to simulate, but then I noticed Tulsa had an 86 overall team. If we're going to go down right here, I need it to be because of me, not just a coin flip sim result. And I'll tell you right now, we have not played terribly, but we're also down by 6 with 5 minutes left. This is one of those spots though where we could just drive it down the field to end the game. And every single running back on this roster has been getting involved. We were able to avoid taking a loss right there and keep on going, Brown. What's weird is sometimes Connor Brown is even better than our starting running back. And Obasui has 95 speed. He just doesn't get to use it all the time. I pitch him the ball, it doesn't get out. Now it's 3rd and 10. We're going to instantly roll out and just scramble for it. That's the best strategy. And it is always such a struggle to move the ball in these games, but that pass is perfect. De La Rosa takes it to the 30. I am so sick of the option offense. I'd much rather just throw the ball or try and run for more, because whenever we go back to stuff like the flex bone, I just feel like this doesn't work as well, though we get 5. Right now, we're in a pretty good spot. This drive has gone exactly how we wanted it to, but we're going to need good blocking here on 3rd and 1 when we try to get our fastest running back loose, and that's not going to get us to the end zone. Now we're going to give Brown that same opportunity. Connor Brown, not the fastest in the world, but he's still going to turn the corner, and we have a lead. That's the offense we've had to work with this entire video. And believe me when I say it is so much better doing that than when we try to throw it. Now here's the thing. Tulsa still has all 3 of their timeouts remaining, so we have not technically won this game yet, especially if they're going to run for quite a bit. But I have a 98 speed user that I can use right here. I'd love to get the interception. That works too. They're already out there in Hail Mary formation. They could still get into field goal range though. That is what worries me. Cookus gets the interception or not. Tulsa is going to have one final prayer to the end zone, but we should be starting this season 4-1. There is simply no way with 5 dudes all over him they're ever catching that. And they almost did, but it doesn't matter. We take it home. This is starting to feel like a pretty good season. Now we're going on the road at 1-4 Charlotte. And over the last few weeks, everything seems to be going our way. We signed one of the 3-star receivers. We might be able to get the other, and this corner could be a tight battle. In fact, seeing that we just beat Charlotte, if I wasn't trying to win the American Conference Championship, I would play that game against Notre Dame. But I think we all know there's not much of a chance that we even compete against them still. And I don't care what the result of that game was. We signed the 3-star gym corner. We also got George Kendrick, so we have somebody with 97 speed. And I know we don't use wide receivers that much, but between him and also Tyler, I feel like we're going to. They could be good running backs too. The Irish only beat us by 5 points. This has to be the closest that it's been. But we play both Tulane and North Texas on the road later in the season, and they're ranked inside the top 25. That means I cannot hop into this game against FAU. We'll see what their overall is. It's going to come in as a 79. And they almost got us with the home field advantage, but we won by 1 point in overtime. It's actually really interesting to see how much more we're starting to throw the ball, even though we're still in a triple option offense. And I'm not liking how these American Conference rankings are starting to shape up. There are 3 teams ranked inside the top 16, and UAB at the top of the standings already beat us. We have no choice but to sim against Army and Temple because these are 2 games that we have to play. And if we lose this one now to the Owls, I'm going to be so upset. It has been done though. 16-19, we barely got on top. And now we've an opportunity to get our first top 10 win on the road in this rebuild. This is definitely not going to be easy, but it's also not impossible. As we tend to do, we've kept this one pretty close. The rocket toss is going to allow us to take it inside the 40, and there's still about 10 minutes left of game time, but in a game like this, we need to be able to hit our running back. I saw the touchdown right there. Now we're rolling out. We have our corner route open, and that's a good throw. Don't worry, we're still running the option as well, but it just seems like we're having some more success whenever we go through the air. We're going to get the touchdown, and everything is starting to come together for Navy. When I think about one of the main reasons we're having success, though, it really does come back to our defensive line, because they've gotten us so many stops and we're not getting anything. We end up punting it back to the other team so much, though, that one's actually going to pin them inside the 10. And they're already on a 3rd and 10 where they are going to just hope they have enough time to get it out. That was my zone. They're getting a huge breakaway play. We should probably just stick on our 98 speed user. And after getting them to a 4th and 10, I am feeling a little bit better right here. They could go to their running back underneath, and we can't stop him short. We are so close to getting that huge win, but then they're pulling off stuff like this. And my only idea is try and get one of our running backs in space. Hagen's might be a fullback, though. That is not what you want to see with the game on the line, but he's been enough. And there's still a minute left on the clock for us. If we get some good blocks here, we might be able to roll out and throw this one up. I'm going for the aggressive catch with Lawrence right here. Come on, hold on to it. I don't like that running it isn't really effective for us right now. We didn't even have the option to pitch it. And I guess we're going to have to go through the air. It is now 3rd and 13. We're going to roll out. They have somebody ready to stop Eason. We're going to have to make him miss just to move the chains. He's still going. I still think Obasui could outrun them deep for a touchdown at some point. It's not going to be here. And we might just need to throw this one up. I feel like we're going to actually burn them right there. We have the speed. We got it at receiver, and Lawrence catches the ball. That was the entire reason we even recruited players like him, so we could do that. And if our defense chokes this game now, I am going to be so disappointed. That was my area once again. I think our safeties are way too slow for me to lurk like that, so instead I'm on a linebacker, and there's no chance they get off another snap. It was nerve-wracking. It was a tight finish, but we're going to beat number 9 Tulane. And Terrell Lawrence is going to be amazing for us for 3 more years. It has taken forever, but I can officially say we are inside the top 25. And looking at the conference standings, all we have to do is win one more game to be in the conference championship. It really doesn't matter whether or not we beat North Texas. We have the tiebreaker over Tulane. So I simmed that game just in case we needed to play against Army, but clearly we won it. I figured if anybody was going to ruin our conference championship hopes, it was them, especially if we did lose to North Texas. So I saved this game for us to hop into, but we might as well now because I think we have a shot at the playoffs. All we have to do is be the 5th highest ranked conference champion, so if Nevada doesn't get it, it should be us. But I think we might be looking way too far into the future. We still have to beat Army. I should have known this was going to happen though. 24-3. This isn't even a contest. I have to just send up deep balls and hope for the best. I'm not sure what went wrong. Maybe our luck just ran out, but we have a long way to go if we're coming back. A little bit of help from them is always nice though. That's an extra 15. And we're getting very close to getting into the end zone now. We have a corner route right here, but we have to hit that throw. For no reason at all, I'm going for the 2-point conversion. I'm just fed up with the fact that we're losing. And that could come back to bite us, but I also don't know if we're even going to come back in the first place. We need to get a stop here. On 3rd down, we literally just ran by him. They'd go on to score another touchdown, winning 30-9. But at least we still have the American Conference Championship, where UAB averages almost twice as many points per game than us, but we could beat them. I feel like there is a tiny chance we still sneak into the playoffs too. But that all relies on our offense not being terrible until the 4th quarter, and so far it's been solid as we got that pitch out at the last second to take it in. The deeper I get into this playbook, the more I am figuring out, especially with our speed. And even when we do lose yards like we did right there, we should have hit this field goal. Thank goodness for our defense that has literally held them to 0 points, or else we wouldn't be in this spot, though they're trying to go deep and we missed the ball. This cannot be the choke that I'm thinking is about to happen. They're even going for the 2-point conversion. They are way too confident. The longer the game goes on for, though, the more I think we're going to be okay. And it's not like we need much more to go our way, but they probably thought we were going to run it right there. We had a touchdown open, but we got hit when we threw it. I am literally never going to beat the menu merchant allegations. 4th and 9, which is nice, but you don't know what they're going to pull out in this situation, and we have zones all over there. I will gladly run this ball 3 times just so we can clinch the American Conference Championship. But it's starting to look like we're going to have to punt it back to them again, and this pitch, where is it? I have no idea what happened right there, but on 3rd and 20, as long as they burn their final timeout, it's going to be okay. Because the odds of them going the length of the field in less than a minute are not too high, especially since this punt went far. They ended up only getting to midfield where they didn't even get a snap off. And it works out for us as we finally get to take that trophy home. After all of that work though, we're just in the first responder bowl because of our loss to Army. And I understand why we fell out of the top 25, but Nevada got that 5th spot, so we couldn't have made it anyway. We had a very respectable year. Orleans Easton threw for the most passing yards we've had yet. We also rushed for the most with our fullback. And I'm not even sure if I included it during last offseason, but Myron Higgins was like a linebacker before I moved him over here. Then at the receiver position, we have Esteban Capers that's going to be gone. He's an 85 overall, but he will be replaced with Lawrence. And he'll also be replaced with a couple of these wide receivers coming in that have impact dev and then star dev on Tyler. That is exactly what I was hoping for right there. Now we just have to take down Georgia Southern. And that would conclude a very good season for us. What I thought would happen here though did not at all. We are down by 17 on the final play, trying to beat them deep. It's just not going to work. And in half of the games that I even hopped into this year, we just struggled. We should not be losing by that much to Georgia Southern. It really stinks that we have to say goodbye to some of these seniors. Bo Runyon never even played for us. Capers is a big loss though. Same with Dylan Cookus and Jalil Bono. He was just good enough though to make it to where we've put another player into the NFL for like the 3rd straight year. And it's pretty remarkable how many teams in our conference are having terrible recruiting classes like us, but they're not under any restrictions. Just due to how many seniors we have on this team, our next recruiting class is going to have to be massive, probably 35 players. But I think we're starting to make a lot of progress, and I'm still going to try to keep the roster size down. What I will say is I know we're going to fall off after this season when all those players graduate. We just haven't signed that many players in the last 2 classes. But we almost have to have cycles of our best players, and right now they're currently seniors and juniors. Going into this season at least, my goal is to sign a 35-player recruiting class. I've already found the 3-star gyms that we're going to be targeting. And of course, it starts with a quarterback. He's actually from the small town in Kentucky that I'm from as well. He is Silverfield General. Then we have this wide receiver, 93 speed, running back, 91. The rest of the class over time will consist of a ton of offensive linemen, defensive players, but we're starting the season hopefully with a win. And I'm a little concerned because it was only by 2 points, but we've moved up to number 17. Just taking a look at our schedule, I think we're going to sim up until these road games because we have 5 of them in a row. They're against some of the better teams in our conference. But if we are not 4-0 by the time that we get there, I'm going to be very disappointed. Just getting to that point, we're going to sign all the 3-stars that we went after. And we've flown up in the polls all the way to number 8. But we got a couple of close wins and we even blew out Temple. Now 2-4 Tulsa cannot be one of the 3 games I play. They're just a 76. The problem though is we still managed to lose it. And that was with a defensive player winning player of the week. I don't know what happened to Orleans Easton, but this is the worst stat line I've ever seen out of him. He threw 2 picks, had 2.8 yards per carry, and we scored 0 points. There's just some inconsistencies with running the option, and I want to see if we could take down Notre Dame. They might be 3-4, but overall wise, this is the type of roster we'd see in the playoffs. And I'm telling you, with this option offense, we are never going to be in a spot where we can genuinely be good. Down by 17 in the 4th quarter, they think we should go for it on this 4th and 15. I'm just going to send up the jump ball. And even after holding them to a field goal, I know we're not winning this game. It is so difficult to score when our defense doesn't play well. We're in trouble. And I don't want to say that this season's going to be another one wasted, but it's starting to feel like it. This is really the decider right here. If we can't win on the road at Tulane, the year's basically over. But here's the thing, even when we're not scoring many points, our defense is locking down. They've only been able to put up 6. After not getting that 3rd down, they're actually punting it back to us with 4 minutes left. I don't know why they would ever do that, but it's going to allow us to run the football a lot, and our fullback's huge. On 3rd and 9, we still need to be able to move the chains, so we're going to roll out. We're going to use a playmaker, and that throw on the run goes to Kendricks. There's only a couple players in the vicinity that could stop him, and they barely do. That is what we needed right there. We're going to pull it. We're going to pitch it, and now Hollenbatch just has to truck through one. I know they're not going to stop Paxson right here either. He gets through them. And at the end of the day, we weren't going to blow it from there. There might be a chance that we can repeat as American Conference Championship winners, but it's going to involve us winning some more games in Sim, and USF's in 85. We lost by 1 point, so maybe I should have hopped into that one. I just wanted to save another one just in case, but looking at the rest of our schedule, these other opponents aren't great. We know for a fact though that we are not winning a championship this year, so that's why I've been preparing for the future, and it all starts with this 35-person recruiting class that is far from done. There's a couple positions I'm still scouting just to make sure the running backs that we're actually recruiting are pretty quick, and I think we're gonna have to breeze through the next few seasons so all these players can develop. By the time that we're getting to the Army-Navy game, we're currently sitting at 6-5, and it's remarkable how this exact same roster from last season somehow regressed. And out of pure love for the rivalry, I had to hop in and only score 3 points. I'm starting to think for us to even have a chance at a championship, I need to build a custom option playbook that allows us to run both the option and some normal plays. Because year after year, nothing is impressive statistically, but it's not like we should be throwing the ball a lot. What really bugs me is whenever we sim games, we just don't get the amount of carries that our star running back should be getting. And I think Navy football is about to go through some dark times. One thing that's really hurt us is after we were successful last year, we lost our defensive coordinator. And I'm just now realizing it, but that's a huge hit because he's only a tactician, not much of a motivator. I can't really fire him though, it's too late for that. This is one of the best Heisman stat lines I have ever seen. And once again, even with 6 wins, we're not getting a bowl invite. The dev traits on some of these players are so crucial though. Owen is going to be a star for us. That's what you need on a QB. Our wide receivers impact, and our running back is a star too. If this class's seniors can't win a championship, I don't know how we're ever going to get it done. Because we legitimately had 2 really good players on this team and a lot of other solid seniors that were starting for us, and we still just went 6-6. The thing about Orleans Easton as well is he is the highest overall quarterback that we have had. And he got us that American Conference Championship last year, but besides that, he was pretty average. I'm convinced that EA just didn't program the military schools to get good sim stats on here. And our pro potential has been pretty impressive in this rebuild, but our championship contender keeps on going down. By the end of off-season recruiting, I have signed a full class of 35 targets. This is our base for what needs to be a championship roster. And it's one of our highest rated recruiting classes ever, but we have to do it again next season just so we have more depth. Just looking at what this roster is compared to last season's, it seems to be pretty similar, but it says we're only an 80 overall. It's gotta be because of all these freshman signings bringing it down, but we're about to do the same thing next season. It's really sad that just looking at this schedule, I'm expecting us to lose quite a few of these games, even though I feel like we've built a decent team. But unless we get super lucky in sim, I think I'm gonna speedrun the next couple of years. It is David Strong's time to shine for 2 seasons, even if we don't care very much about it. The reason though is once these seniors are gone, that class of juniors and sophomores is not going to be good enough by the time they're seniors to get us a championship. And the skill caps on freshman quarterback Owen Carney are actually pretty important. If he's going to get us a championship, we needed his accuracies to not be super maxed out. Now what I've done is for our defense, I'm going to go after 3-star gyms here so we can boost that overall in the future. This is the team that needs to be able to get us to the title. It's kind of sad that as we start these next few years, I don't believe in the current Navy roster to win it all. And apparently if our championship contender doesn't stay up, the receiver I recruited last year is going to leave us. Now after beating an FCS school, our next opponent is 0-3 Temple. So just like last season, we're going to have a good start to the year. But I wouldn't be surprised if we went on the road to Air Force and lost. We came out and won 32-3 though, so I'm starting to think this roster could be good. I guess a real test for us could be against Tulane. And maybe all it took at quarterback was having Strong. As this third quarter winds down, he's going to put us up by 10 points assuming this goes in. But then our defense finally caved, giving up 10 straight points, and now we are not catching this. It's one of those things where we probably just need to play the field positioning game. On 3rd and 7, they pick it up. And there's less than a minute left on the clock now, but they're going to get this as well, breaking that tackle. They continue to get it in field goal range as they're going to settle for 3. So in the matter of a quarter, I blew a 10-point lead. I don't know if you can say that this game is completely over though. We have a receiver with 96 speed, and I would have loved a chance to even get the throw off to him deep because I feel like he might be able to outrun this kid right here. It's going to be a 50-50 ball coming back to it. And now it all comes down to this. He was not able to bring that catch in, but I think he's actually outrun number 5 here. The throw is not far enough though, so we can't break free. That would have been an incredible way to win this. And I'm clearly the problem. I'd much rather just sim with this team. USF's an 86. That didn't seem to matter though. Apparently we've won. And that decides it. As we sim through more this season, I am not going to hop into the important games. If that makes the difference, I'll have to think of my strategy moving forward in this rebuild. And in the process, we're going to get all 3 of the 3 stars we went after. As we go into week 13, you're going to see that UAB, who is now ranked, beat us by 1 point, but we took down Notre Dame on this schedule, so there were some good wins throughout sim. In fact, at the moment, we're sitting at 5th in the American Conference. We have no chance at making the conference championship, but we could finish this season 9-3, so we have to see if we can beat Rice on the road. This is actually a pretty important matchup for us. We could beat a top 25 team, but it all comes back to us just never scoring many points offensively, though they have left Hollenbach wide open down the field, so we'll take a touchdown. We really needed that right there on 3rd and 11. I'm hoping they test my user. Instead, they're testing one of our corners, and they're going to get a touchdown right back. If we don't hold a team to less than like 10 points, we just can't seem to keep up with them as they get this. I really don't think it's going to be possible for us to win it all at this point. I've just seen it year after year, our struggles. And the only time we happen to have any success is whenever we go through the air, not a bunch of option plays. With a failed 2-point conversion, we're down by 8. We still can get the ball back, but it's not looking too good for us. We got to get over there to stop the run, and we do. We actually got really lucky. There was an an injury timeout that went in our way. Now we just got to hit him one more time. And here's the thing. We have a 96 speed wide receiver in this rebuild. Have we been able to use it? Not really, but I'm still throwing this up, hoping for the best right here. And I think what I'm learning from this game is, as much as I did want to stay with that option offense, we should probably switch over to the spread option offense instead. Maybe I'll even combine it into a custom playbook so we still have like the flex bone, the wishbone formations. But whether or not this goes to overtime all comes down to this 2-point conversion that they're all over. I was so excited to run the triple option this entire rebuild. Now I'm just getting frustrated with it. You lose yards so much. And I think it's time that we get through some of the next seasons that are going to be rough. Whether or not we beat Army this season can just all come down to Sim. And maybe I wasn't the problem. We lost this 10-6. I kind of feel bad for David Strong that with 14 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, we have just zero faith in him. He threw for a lot of yards. We didn't run for that much besides with him. And receiving wise as well, Tyler might be the best receiver that comes through the program. One of these seasons, we're going to win the American again. And look at that. We've made the Scooters Coffee Bowl against Georgia State. Considering we still have 0 bowl wins throughout this entire video, beating them could be nice. And this is like one of the only times that we have been able to put up 21 points in a game versus a team, and it could get a little bit worse. Whenever I hop into matchups, I sim to all the key moments, and sim has just not been on our side with the military school. But finally it was against an inferior opponent. This has to be the biggest win we've gotten into a game that I've hopped into in this rebuild. And I want to see elite dev on another linebacker that we have gone after. That is why I went after a run stopper, but it's only impact. From here, we basically just have 2 seasons before we try and win it all. And I don't think there's going to be very much that happens in between just because we lost a lot of seniors. I am going to finally spend some more coach points again. I want these off-season periods to help a lot of our positions improve even quicker. And with our quarterbacks, running back, and offensive linemen all getting that boost, it should help. We also put 3 players onto the NFL. I remember Ryan Mixon was a 3-star gym that I targeted. And in the off-season period, we are going to sign everybody on our board besides potentially this free safety. I was hoping Virginia didn't beat us out in the end because I wanted a completely full recruiting class again, but this will do. As far as I was concerned, impact dev was the highest dev trait that a 2-star could have, but that was until I saw what Terrell Vick was. He is a star dev as a 2-star receiver. I want to say that's one of the rarest things you can find since it's taken me like 10 seasons to find one, but then we also got it on Chancey Wooten in the same season. I didn't even realize that we are now 9 seasons deep. And from this point forward, I am simply just preparing this roster to be super good in a couple of years. With the additional boost to some of our players as a motivator, I think we've had some nice overall jumps on offense. But there's no depth on this team, so when we sim through this entire season, I'm expecting us to win 6 or 7 games. The only 3 players I'm even going to recruit are just going to be these 3 wide receivers, just in case some of them do transition well over to running back. They're super quick. And my hope is this team doesn't completely fall off this season. Well, midway through the year, I'm able to see that we got all of the 3 stars. And to my surprise, we might have lost to Ball State by 3, we might have lost to UAB by 6, but besides that, we're winning, including the game at Notre Dame. This feels very similar to last season, though, where I had a sliver of hope and then it was all just washed away. But the longer the year goes on, of course, there's still losses, but we might be in the running for an American Conference Championship. It's a very tight race, and I don't want to step in and ruin it for Navy. So I'll sim these final 2 games, and we'll see what happens here. Well, we beat Temple 16-10, and now I feel the urge to play because we're currently ranked inside the top 25. I don't think we're going to make the conference championship just because East Carolina has the tiebreaker over us, and those 2 schools above us would need to lose. But what I can say is this is an Army-Navy game that we should not draw. I truly believe best case scenario for this team this season, we just go like 6-6 since there are so many sophomores and freshmen on the roster. But that has simply not been the case, and this defense has been so solid they don't know what to do, except right here. We have a 14-point lead with less than 2 minutes left. But I think we all know I'd find a way to blow it, especially since I forgot to come out in onside kick recovery. At least we're going to pick this ball up. My faith in our option offense might actually be restored. But at the same time, we still need to pick up one more first down, and hitting the outside Hollenbatch is going to get us closer. On 3rd and 5, you know that I have to go with something like the speed option. We pitch it over to Wolf, and this is the best play in the playbook. I should be running that a lot more. The computer clearly doesn't run it whenever we skip to the key moments, but at least we won. And that is our 69th series win in the Army-Navy game. Nate Hollenbatch is a senior, though. I'm pretty sure he was a 3-star prospect. And just keeping it real, we do have some super talented players at the top of the roster that are seniors, but after that, the drop-off gets pretty big. Now, with 16 coach points left to spend, I'm going to make sure that our receivers are also getting the put-in-work Tier 3 ability for an off-season training boost. But I'm a little scared if we have too much success, we're going to lose either our offensive coordinator or our defensive coordinator again. Like expected, we did miss out on the American Conference Championship, but David Strong was a strong candidate for the best quarterback we have had in this this entire rebuild, at least passing wise. He rushed for the most I think we've had out of a QB too. While on the receiving end, I wish I could just use one red shirt on Tyler. He is unfortunately going to graduate right before the season, where I think we have a real shot at the championship, but he has stuff like 96 speed and takeoff. I will not break the military rules and restrictions I have set in this video though, to make sure it's super realistic. And if anything, I think this rebuild has really proven how difficult it is for military schools to ever win it all. I am a little curious what the dev trade is on these receivers we signed. We have Star on Warrior. For the other two though, it's just normal. They weren't even gyms. I could have gone harder for others, but we get to play in the Fenway Bowl. And I'm pretty sure this used to be a baseball stadium if I remember right. I'm not sure exactly how they were able to turn it into a football stadium. I feel like it just wouldn't be shaped the same, but Georgia State did the same thing down there in Georgia. And going into this game, just looking at our team stats, our run and pass are pretty equal. I feel like we should be running it more than we are still though. And this one's turned out to be a super tight game. California is threatening to score a touchdown, but most likely they're settling for a field goal. So we just have to stop them on this 3rd and 6, and we do. That's going to give us a minute to push it down the field and get in field goal range ourselves, though they felt like they could press Tyler over there on that left side of the field, and he is just going to run circles around him. Now I have noticed, even though we are in the option playbook, Strong is thrown for 300 yards in this game. And it's almost like when we don't run the ball all the time, this team can actually put up a lot of points. With a field goal kick right here, we're going to win a bowl game in back-to-back seasons. And even when I thought we weren't going to do very well at all, we had some success. Not to the level of USC this season, but we did go 10-3. And there's very few players that are going to be leaving us that have graduated, but it's going to include David Strong and Antoine Kern. Basically, the guys that just carried the overall of this roster. And now I get to sit here and sweat out position changes with all these guys that are listed as speed rusher linebackers because they haven't been able to upgrade yet, so whenever we do move them somewhere else, they should shoot up a ton in overall. Basically, outside linebackers shouldn't be allowed to be speed rushers in the game. It's not a position, so those players won't develop until you move them somewhere else. That's why I wanted so many there. And we'll follow Donovan Thorpe for an example because I'm going to guess that he's going to jump Brian Rosa once training results hit. My prediction was correct. Not only did he jump up quite a bit, he became the best player on this team, and we also had some other speed rushers at left end go to an 88 and an 86. The good news about that is next year we can move them around to other spots on defense while these guys go down to the defensive line and witness the same jump. So this might be the most OP team building thing I've found so far. Owen Carney though, we need to look at him. He still has another year development, but I know his accuracy was low at one point and there's still a lot of room for it to grow. As far as I'm concerned right now, I'm probably still going to go after a couple 3-star prospects again, just in case next year that roster we've built doesn't win it all. But I think with more development, it will be good enough to do so, especially if I could just redshirt these 3 senior receivers. Looking at our schedule, I'll probably sim like the first half of the season again, just because I don't know if we're good enough to make it to the playoffs. Maybe I'll play the Notre Dame game. And the entire goal for this season right now is just make sure that we're set up to win it all next year. I'm extremely dependent on next season being our huge year though, and you can see the 3 stars we're going to pursue. Jeff Hart's in there with his 90 speed just because we always need a quarterback that can grow. And we'll see how this season goes throughout sim. Well, this is a pretty good sign. At the moment, we're sitting at 6-1. And we might just play out the rest of this year in case we do make the playoffs and have a shot at winning it all. Right now, Notre Dame's only 6 overall is better. I really thought we'd end up losing more games than this, but the only game that we dropped was against UAB. They've been so solid throughout this entire dynasty. We could also play at Tulane. And going up against the Irish, it's not a conference game, but when we return to conference play, we got to go for a conference championship. As for recruiting, we signed the quarterback and the halfback, but Missouri took the linebacker. And I really don't care at all. Next season, we're going to have 36 seniors and then 34 juniors. Also, I discovered how we got an extra junior on the team, how we have 36. Apparently, this kid right here is a walk-on, so I'm just going to take it. I forgot to recruit at that position, and I know it says he's a 3-star, but all walk-ons on this game are 3 stars. Anyway, just wanted to clear that up. It is time to take on the Irish. I'm pretty sure we've won this game 2 years in a row in sim now, so I better not ruin that. With a couple minutes left, though, we find ourselves down by 3. We're having to roll out on this play, and this needs to be a good throw. It really stinks how often we have to go away from running the option just to pass to move the chains. But I'm telling you right now, if you play the moments with a military school's playbook, you are not going to have any success offensively unless you're in. I think we're going to be able to end this game with a touchdown. I mean, we are in a decent spot. This pitch was badly timed, and I should have never even said anything because it is 3rd and 29 for us, and they're getting an instant pressure. Here's the thing, though. I have faith that we are still going to be able to pick this up somehow. I'm going to give us a chance at the jump ball, and there's a flag. That's what we needed right there. PI, I don't know what they did, but apparently they must have bumped somebody, and this time the options got to work, though there's a flag against us, so it might be coming back. Yup, that is going to be holding. That is revenge for us getting a lucky bailout. And I can promise I I will never return to this playbook the rest of the year, most likely, though if we have a touchdown right here because of the misalignment, that'd be great. Not quite into the end zone, but we are in a spot where we can chew some clock down. I don't want to get in yet, and I might regret doing that later on in this game, but we're going to run that exact same play back, and our fullback fights his way to the one. From here, Carney should be able to get into the end zone. It's just a quarterback power run, and thank goodness I didn't have any challenges in this video. If I had to somehow win the Heisman Trophy, it was not happening. I still think that we do better off in sim instead of hopping into these games, but we'll take the win over Notre Dame, and this isn't even the team that's supposed to be that good. Now that we're sitting at number 7 in the country, besides that game against Tulane, I feel much more comfortable simming. And after a bye week, we've dropped down to number 8, but we're playing Temple. This should not be a problem. Sure enough, we won 18-3, and now if we beat Tulane, we're going to be in a very good spot to end the season. That's what it would take to get us a spot in the conference championship, of course, if we don't lose after that. But it's on the road, and they have been at the top of our conference for so long. Now, I do believe we have got to go for it whenever we get in these 4th down situations, just because we're going for like 3 or 4 yards per carry. And as we approach this 4th quarter, we actually have a 1-point lead. There are so many runs that we just lose yards on those, so we're going to pass in this situation. Our tight end is open, and that's on the money. We didn't get the 2-point conversion, though, which could come back to bite us. On this 4th down, that ball was just out of reach. We knew exactly where they wanted to go and everything. Now they have a bunch of slants out there on the field, and it's looking like we're going to find ourselves in a spot down by 1 or 3. It really all comes down to what they do on this 2-point conversion, and I saw it. This is no different than the Notre Dame game. We're going to run the counter option. The ball is on the ground. We're still able to pick this up and get nothing. Owen Carney cannot be making mistakes like that. Right here, they're getting pressure off that right side immediately. To make matters even worse, Tulane has had 2 huge runs against us, and it was only a matter of time before they scored again. Here's the thing though, we still have all 3 of our timeouts, so this game's technically not over. The passing options out of this playbook are never going to be ideal though. I don't see anything right here that we can even hope to get. So 4th and 10, game on the line, we're going to thread the needle, and it's behind our receiver. I have decided I have seen enough. Before we start next season, we will have a custom playbook with option plays and then also some passing plays. And I thought we'd be fine simming our final 2 games. No, Army somehow beat us 42-0. This is the best team we've probably put together. They've never beaten us like this before, but now our defense gives up 42. Nothing makes any sense anymore. Of course, we didn't get to the conference championship, and it's only fair that we ended up falling down to number 22 in the polls. I want to blame injuries for the reason we struggled in that game, but it's really hard to, because we should have never gotten beat like that, and I guess we'll find out if we're good enough to take down Sam Houston. Now, the only reason these dev traits could even matter one bit is if we don't win a championship next year if the rebuild continues, and there's a high probability of it considering we just lost by a lot again. At least it should prevent anybody from trying to take one of our coordinators. But this feels like the 1-star rebuild I did with Air Force a while back, where we either win it all or we're never going to. We're up to a level 42 head coach. Next season is such a big deal, and the only thing I can think to spend these training points on is just making sure that our wide receivers also get boosted. We have to say goodbye to our best receivers though. They're all going to be graduating. I'm hoping that some of our other dudes end up improving a lot. And Tyler could have gone down as the number 1 guy we had in this rebuild if he could have just gotten us a conference championship. Then when it comes to our passing and rushing stats, Owen Carney of course took over both of them. The playbook sim just makes no sense. We should not have running backs getting like 40 or 35 carries. I know the injuries happen, but we need to be rushing for 1,000, 2,000 yards, not passing for 2,000. Now I get to sit here and deal with all these position changes to figure out how exactly we're going to build the best roster possible. And then I'm going to build a custom playbook out of my favorite one, Clemson's. But the thing about this is we can put Flexbone in here and still throw the ball a good bit. I'm only going to use that in the games I hop into. Through sim, we got to stick with the option. And it is time for training results. I moved around a bunch of players. I put a lineman at tight end. He's a 98 overall, which is definitely going to inflate it. But just looking through these, I've already noticed there is an issue. Taylor Wolf still has an injury. I think he's going to just be healthy by the time the season starts, but he still has 4 weeks on it. He did not max out his stats. But if I just scroll through this roster at every position, you're going to notice that we did a pretty good job for mainly building this out of only 2-star prospects and then the every so often 3-star prospect as well. I think I can get our overall up a little bit too just by cutting some more players. And the final rating is a 91 overall with a schedule that doesn't look too tough until we get down to those road games, especially at Notre Dame and at Tulane. Just based off of previous seasons, I can infer that we should win all those first matchups. And just considering how small our sophomore and freshman classes are, just in case we don't win it all, I should probably at least make sure we have a bunch of 2-stars recruited. If this doesn't go right, it is going to be brutal to build from the ground up again, but we are prepared. And I'm just hoping something doesn't go wrong during sim. Well, this seems like a pretty solid start. We won all these games decisively, besides against against Temple. We only beat them by 4. And after USF and Tulsa, we play at number 9 Notre Dame, at number 3 Tulane, and then against 2 4-1 teams, so we pretty much have to sim to this Notre Dame game. That's a little bit stressful considering USF is an 85 and it's on the road. But I've done all that I can to build this team as strong as it is right now, and we have some more coach points to spend, so we're going to get tier 4. Locked in is just going to make sure that our quarterbacks and running backs start the 4th quarter hot. That could be a huge difference maker for us. We are now 5-0. But it was only a 6-point win, so I'm not sure what to think about that. We also have to keep in mind, if we have any major injuries, our entire season could derail. But I think momentum's starting to pick up. We won this one 22-0, and now we go on the road for 3 straight weeks against top 20 opponents. Those are the 3 games I'm going to play with our new playbook. And on the recruiting side of things, the 2 stars are never going to be an issue to sign, but I need to find at least one 3-star quarterback that could be good for our future. This Jim Tyquan Singleton, 93 throw power, 89 speed, 95 excel is exactly that. But I'm really hoping we never have to look in his direction because we just continue to win. If my theory is correct about this custom playbook, playing the moments is going to be okay again. And it's a miracle. It's almost like Navy can actually move the football again. On this huge 3rd and 13 though, we're going to have to scramble for it and we're going to be short. We've already gotten a touchdown though, so we're going to be aggressive. We're going to see if we can pick this up. The pitch works and Wolf is going to outrun everybody. I should have built this playbook so much longer ago because we've gotten to run the option plenty in this game while also playing so well. And Notre Dame might be trying to go for a late comeback, but there is no way that we're about to let that happen. They're not going to run this in right here. Come on, knock them down. I made sure to bring over the best option plays I've been enjoying. Rocket toss is still in here. Wolf is going to help us get the first, but it is coming back and there's a flag on the play. I don't care though. We're up by 17. I have actual passing formations I can use in this situation if I want to move the chains right here. I feel like I could have thrown it over that zone, but we ended up running. I didn't mean to step past the line of scrimmage. Notre Dame was able to score again. We better not be choking. Do not scoop that ball up with one hand. And here we go. It's 3rd and 6. Our quarterback deserves to run this football like he should, and it's not enough. I added the split team here though, so we can go with a fullback dive like this, and that'll get it. Just from what I've seen right there, going on the road, winning against a high overall team like that, we should be on our way to the playoffs this season. And funny enough, our running backs are actually getting more touches. I think EA needs to rework the military schools in this game, especially after the seasons that Army and Navy have had in real life. And who would have thought we would have an American Conference matchup with both of these teams inside the top 8? It's another road game, but it's also another chance for us to separate ourselves farther from everybody else. And I really don't think Tulane should give us any issues, but you never know. I forgot to change the playbook for loading into this one, so it has been a little bit more tricky to score. But maybe it would have been okay either way, whether we made that custom or not. That should not be caught. I mean, all we have to do is get a few first downs and run out the clock to win, but I don't like the pressure of it. Gilliam is going to allow us to get the first down right here. If there's any play that's my favorite, it's definitely these speed options. But now it's 2nd and 14 for us, and we're just going to have to pitch this last second. It's behind Wolf, so it's going to be a 3rd and long. Now, we might just be able to beat them deep off of the press that they're running. I'm not sure if we actually have the speed to do it, but if that is a good throw on the money, we're going to beat Tulane. I guess they still have all 3 of their timeouts, but Carney showed out right there. And I am so scared to use play action on this playbook, but it actually went well for us. That is a very rare occurrence I have not seen much of in this rebuild. We're getting the interception with Lewis though, and I want to rub it in by returning it. Even with the default option playbook, this team is so good that we're not going to lose on the road at Tulane. And no matter what we use, Taylor Wolf's going to eat. Our final challenge of the season I can actually hop into is against Rice. And they might be coming off of a loss, but they're the only team in our conference that's sitting at 4-1 right below us. A win right here just creates a further distance between ourselves and pretty much everybody else in the American. But we haven't necessarily played the best. Right now we're on a 3rd and 8. We're only up by 7 points here in the 4th quarter as we're down inside the 10. And we had full control this game for a while at 17-3 until they scored. That's really been the wake-up call where this one isn't over for us yet. I want to pitch this for a touchdown though, and they still tackle it. Being able to go from that though to a spread formation is so sweet. We have the depth to pull it off, and our slant is gonna get swatted. It's not the end of the world though. Hitting this field goal is still gonna keep it a 2-possession game, and they have been driving it down the field. But unfortunately for Rice, they still need so much to go their way, and I just don't see that happening. At the moment, the undefeated season feels like a real possibility, but our final 3 matchups will all be up to Sim, and we just have to recover this with Blade, which is what we do. We can't return it. As long as we keep getting good results though, I'm perfectly fine with that. And it is time to find out whether or not we're about to finish this regular season undefeated. Going into conference championship week, you're going to see we're in the top 5 still at 12-0. But I actually wish that we would have dropped one of these so there isn't so much pressure for us to remain undefeated. It's going to be pretty tricky for us to just win out the rest of the year, especially because right now, looking at this top 12, there are teams like Georgia, Alabama up here that I know are going to be tough, Oregon would be too. All we can do though is handle the games on our schedule. We get to host the conference championship. We have not played in this matchup forever. And what I've realized in this game, by also not switching up our playbook to the custom one before playing, is we can easily win these games and play the moments in sim as long as we have the better roster, and we finally do. Those other seasons, we simply weren't as good as I thought we were. Right here, we're going to pitch it. I want to end with one more touchdown, just celebrating our way in. And that is what it's going to take for Navy to win the American. This has been such a difficult trophy for us to earn. And I really don't understand why I can't scroll farther back than 2027 on here since we've played so many seasons, but I guess EA doesn't allow that to happen. That's my favorite view to track the history in Dynasty. Of course, we get the winner of Oregon and Alabama in the first round. That's going to be the hardest game we've ever played, but Owen Carney literally has not turned the ball over once this season. Rushing-wise, he has also led the team. This is the carries that I was looking for. I think starting somebody faster at fullback, a halfback, definitely helped us. Receiving-wise, Ross John was the top target. And I just can't believe that we have to deal with the Ducks. They barely got in as a 12 seed. Almost anybody else would have been better than them. They always sign top 5 recruiting classes in Dynasty. They're going to come in as a 90 overall. And I think this is our true overall without all the tactician boost. There is nothing else left on the table though besides this championship trophy. We got to take it. And we could score the first points in this game by going for the field goal, but instead we went for it on 4th and 2. Believe it or not, running the option versus the Ducks has simply not worked for us in this game, so we are going to have to start throwing it a little bit more here in the third quarter. Their defensive line has been so strong. They have a bunch of players up there with abilities. It's going to be 4th and 1. Or even worse, 4th and 2, and I am trying to stick with this at least a little bit, but we don't get it. We are so lucky that that would only lead to them kicking a field goal. We've got to pick up this 3rd and 8 though, and sure enough, it is John coming away with the football. We really need a touchdown so badly. This is Navy just modernizing their offense. They can't completely run the triple option. And I'm not even sure if Army and Navy do it that much this year in real life. They probably have a lot of passing plays. But I'll find that out today. I am very excited to watch Notre Dame play Army. And here we go. It is 3rd and goal. We've got to get into the end zone, but they're bringing us down. Just taking our 3 made sense though, because immediately afterwards, we were able to force a turnover. And yes, Harper's our former offensive lineman turned tight end. I'm not sure he's the best catcher, but he's a big target out there. He's a huge distraction, and now using this drag route, we're going to get a little bit closer. Our offensive line's one of the best things we have on this team. Is it solid enough to hold here? It does. And with a few minutes left, we have a lead against Oregon. The last time that we had a team this good, we had safeties out there on the field that were way too slow for us. We could have caught that. But anyway, I made it my mission to scout all the defensive backs that we recruited, so everybody on this roster would be fast, and that is how Fries is going to get over to this football right here. We got the interception. We don't need much more. We're like 1 first down away from beating Oregon. Of course, they're going to run commit. They're panicking, so we can take a free touchdown. I think that was worth it, because by the time they've scored a touchdown of their own, there's not much time remaining. And we better recover this onside kick. That's the only thing that I am a little bit worried about, though we do pick it up, so we're going to go back to running. This is sweet, and I know that they can technically still get this ball back. I tried to hit them with the reverse, but they're not going to have much time to do anything at all since they're burning their timeouts. This is where having a good punter can really make a difference. They almost blocked it, and there was a flag on the play. You know for a fact I am accepting this. We're going to survive against the Ducks, and this is Navy moving on to the next round. I wasn't sure how this would go, but I'm happy about it, especially since we get to face off against Syracuse. I swear Georgia was like the 1 seed. My guess though is they lost to them. It was a 3-score game, 27-24. And on the other side of the bracket, it's TCU and Wisconsin, which don't really worry me either. Right now, I feel like we are the favorites to win it all. They do average more points per game, but their overall is a little bit lower, and we could really be moving on to the championship. Now, I will say, so much for creating that custom playbook. I think this is the 3rd game this season now I forgot to put it on. So we have been stuck using the base option playbook this entire time, and it's 4th and 3. I could be aggressive here as well and go for it, but I will take our points just because of how well our defense has played, though I might have shanked the kick. They'd go on to score a touchdown after that, which certainly does not help us, though we do have our hitch route. We're able to throw that off of our back foot. And Carney has got to come up clutch in these final couple of minutes for us. I feel like we're doing pretty well through the air. What's great is we can always pull out the triple option as well. They're going to wait for the pitch, so we're going to put it on the ground. But we do need to be in a little bit of a hurry because we also have to get this 2-point conversion, and I'm waiting on that corner route to just sit there so we can hit John to go inside the red zone. It is time for the rocket toss. I find this to be far more effective than any of the triple option plays we've run. Wolf is going to take it in, and this is a little scary to just hand this off up the middle for the 2-point conversion. We could always get Syracuse off the field though. It is 3rd and 8. They've run down the clock, and they're going to hit us with the play action. I kind of bit down, but they're taking the check down. We're going to wrap up, and I might have just wasted a timeout since the 2-minute warning was so close, but I panicked. I just know that we get a field goal goal, we win. I cannot go through another process of 4 to 5 seasons just setting this team up for a championship again. So we got to pull out the best plays, and this is one of my favorites right here, though we're about to take a sack. All of a sudden, it is 3rd and 8. They are getting in pressure pretty quick, but Carney is going to step up and run. That was a big deal for us right there. Now they are in man-to-man. Once again, he can step up. There's a bunch of open space on this field, but we all know that I missed that field goal earlier on, so I'm worried that I would do it again under the pressure. Right now, they are taking timeouts. They are afraid that we have an easy kick. Both defenders were trying to stop the quarterback run, though, and now we're inside the 10. We could go for a touchdown. It might be happening right here. Syracuse might be folding, but I would have been so much smarter just going down at the 5-yard line and kicking a field goal, looking back on it now. That actually worries me quite a bit. We have such a high overall defensive line. They should be getting in faster. I cannot let Syracuse dissect our defense like this, but they continue to do it, and now they're spiking it. All right, here we go. It is now 2nd and 10. They have nothing but the drag open underneath, and the Orange have burnt their final timeout, which is a pretty big deal because they're not going to want to catch anything in bounds like this right here. That's going to run off some clock. There's going to be about 17 seconds, and if we get burned for a touchdown now, I am going to be so upset. I see what they want to throw. They don't have it. I am a little bit worried that we've been running the same plays back and forth, but it works, and we have survived again. We're going on to the championship. If we get to a situation like that in that game, I'm going to be smarter. I'm not going to take it for a touchdown just because I'm excited, but at least Owen Carney did what we needed to win. Now it all comes down to this. We know what happened the last time TCU made the championship, but I have a feeling this is going to be much closer. They're currently sitting at 14-1. There's not much to say besides if I lose this game right now, I'm going to have a very hard time dealing with it. I'm trying to take Navy back to like 1926 when they last won a national championship. And so far in this game, the option's not been too bad for us, but it's been the throws helping us move the chains. What'll happen is we'll try to run it for a couple plays, then we'll get stuck on a 3rd and long where we have to throw it. And it's already led to us having 1 touchdown, but I'm hoping to get another right here, and we're just going to have to step up and try to scramble. Like the rest of this rebuild, our defense has really been the main part of us having a lead. But TCU hit our kicker. I was happy with 3 points. We're going for 7. Once again, it's back to the ground game where we lost a couple of yards, and we're going to do so here unless we sneak through the hole. Gilliam just made a great play to put us up 14-3. But as we play through this 4th quarter, TCU has erased the deficit a little bit, and we've got to pick this up. Instead, they're coming to the ball instead of our receiver, and they might be able to take a lead right here if we can't catch them. Come on, Antwain. Just knock him down. They'd still score a couple of plays later, so this is starting to look like your typical performance from me. And I really don't like the pressure of choking. At least they are throwing it on this 3rd and long. We have to make sure we stop the pass, though. They're running, and we hit them. This is basically, if we can drive down the field and have a game-winning drive, we're going to win the national championship. But the question is, are we capable of pulling that off since the run continues to be absolutely terrible for us? And we don't pick up the ball. We don't pick up the ball. What are we doing? I've seen it all in this rebuild. It is now 3rd and 13. I don't care that somebody was open over the middle of the field. I'm still going to hit him. But it's just so tiring knowing that this game probably is over still. Lots of PI going on. And of course, that was almost off target. We need a miracle from Carney once again to help us win this championship. He's going to try to scramble here. We're throwing it short. Aggressive catch that. Come on. I mean, I can pull out the flex bone so we just get a direct quarterback run. But we also need to get this 2-point conversion. They're waiting for the pitch, and we got to truck through this kid. There is so much pressure on us to get a defensive stop, though we are all over it. And here we go. 2nd and 10. If it's a counter, we would have been in trouble. I would assume that they're just going to keep it on the ground for this 3rd and 10, but no, they've decided to go through the air. This could be it for us, and we knocked it out. I cannot stress enough how important that is right there. I thought they were going to catch it. I thought we were going to lose the championship, but now we have some hope. We're going to stay out there in 5 wide. This seems to be our formation. If they're going to get pressure in like that, we're just going to have to run. To go from this 5 wide to flex bone, if we do get down to the goal line, is pretty funny. There is definitely some PI going on over there. And since they dropped that ball, we do still have 1 timeout as well, so we can keep that in mind, though getting out of bounds here with a run would be big. I am a little bit worried about any inaccurate pass that could definitely cost us. Instantly rolling out again right here, using the playmaker didn't do a thing. This is so stressful. This has already been the longest rebuild by far on this channel. I cannot let it go on for 5 more seasons. The thing is, though, if we score too quick, that is also not the most helpful. And you have to wonder whether or not we should be keeping it on the ground right here, just truck through them. It is now 3rd and goal. I'm going to go with the hurry up. I'm going to hand it off again, and we are short. There is no reason that we shouldn't have gotten in right there. We have the drag, and he catches it. That is a close call. I don't even know if he he was actually in. But I think we are safe. The refs are not challenging it. I just can't throw an interception right here that gets returned. We're good. Somehow, I think we're going to survive this championship game. This playoff run's been tough. And basically, if I made any mistakes along the way, this would not be happening right here. It is all over. They can catch that. It's fine. After a long 12, 13 seasons, whatever it was, we have won it all with Navy. And whenever you try to do things realistically like a military school, that's what happens. If you made it this far, I would highly recommend trying the challenge with the same restrictions. But just know that it's going to be super tough. We went 88-67 in this video. We had 7 winning seasons, so that's good. We were undefeated in the playoffs, of course. And I love that we had 15 NFL draft picks, 3 of them in the first round, 2 conference championships, and then an additional 5 draft picks with the team that just won the entire thing. This rebuild was super cool to me because not only was it super challenging, but I went up to a Navy base a few weeks ago and played against a lot of sailors. So of course, to use the school now in the game and get them a championship, it feels great. And if you have ever served for the country or you are right now, I respect you so much. Thank you. But that does it. If you enjoyed this rebuild, make sure to hit that like button and check out some of my other ones.